All right, we are live on YouTube. Welcome everyone to the Investors Performance Group meeting. This is our October meeting. As you can see, the theme is a little spooky since it's October, and well, some of the things we're going to tell you might be a little spooky at the beginning, at least with the numbers, and then hopefully we'll be able to, bring in the heroes at the end to show you some awesome opportunities for the what's going on in the market in other areas. So we're going to kick things off right out of the gate here. And as with always, there's always a tech issue. There we go. Perfect. So for those of you guys who are here for the first time, this is brought to you by the Kelly Fry team. We are, of course, a full-service real estate investment team. We are here to help you guys grow your portfolios, grow your wealth in real estate. We have access to all the members that you need, whether they're mortgage brokers, to accountants, to lawyers, to home inspectors. We've got it all for you guys to help make it as easy as possible. And tonight's agenda, we're going to be kicking things off with the market update. It is a little spooky out there right now, so we're going to cover that, get it out of the way. Then we're going to be talking a little bit about insurance with Owen Farrelly. He's going to be talking because we obviously have just experienced another global disaster down in Florida. What kind of impact is that going to have on insurance? We're going to be doing an investor spotlight with Svetlana. We've had her out before, but we've had her as a mortgage broker. Now we're going to bring her up as an investor and talk about what she's investing in, how she's been growing her wealth in real estate. And our keynotes tonight are Mandeep and Nick from Pacific Real Estate, and they're going to be sharing a really awesome opportunity that really hits a lot of the check marks that we're looking for as investors between the fundamentals, cash flow, and even Airbnb. Then we'll talk about that hot deal a little bit more and wrap it up for tonight. So what I do ask for you guys to do is whip out your phones throughout the event, take photos, take videos, tag us on Instagram, tag us on Facebook. We love to hear what ahas you're getting in the market today, and we are at Kelly Fry Team. All right, the market. This is the spooky stuff. So, scary movie. Has everyone seen that one? Right? Yeah. Okay. Housing market slow sales and rising inventory leads towards a buyer's market. So we are definitely seeing it slowing down. We're feeling it for sure in the market. We're posting up listings. Listings are taking a lot longer to sell. The conversations we're having to have with our clients is around price reductions. When it comes to buyers, well, buyers who are taking action in this market, I think, are getting some great deals. But a lot of other buyers are sitting there saying, well, I'm going to wait. We'll wait for what? Well, rates to come down a little bit further. So with that being said, let's take a look at what's actually happening. We like to start with inventory. Inventory is our supply, and we can see here, we've been talking about it the last several months. If you've been coming regularly, we've had a pretty sharp incline in the total inventory. In fact, this time I actually wrote the percentages down because I think that helps to really understand where things are at. Last year in September, we had a little over 11,000 listings in Greater Vancouver. We're up over 14,500 listings right now, almost 14,600. That is up a total of 29.9%, so 30% increase overall in active inventory on the market. Fraser Valley right now sitting at last year 6,000, almost just under 8,000 listings. That's up 30.1%, so similar in both markets. And Chilliwack District, it is a much smaller market region, but it is still up slightly at 1.8% as well. However, this is where we start to look at the relationship between that and the demand aspect. That has had a huge spike increase. Let's take a look at sales. The sales have gone the other direction, right? We have seen sales decreasing since the springtime. We had a total of only 1,838 sales last month out of nearly 15,000 listings. Only 930 in the Fraser Valley, which is really, really low for Fraser Valley. And 218, it's actually up over last year in Chilliwack. So those numbers look like a down over last year's numbers. Obviously from the peak, it's down much higher. 4% decrease in Greater Vancouver, down 10% in sales in Fraser Valley. And then it's actually up by 8.5, but again, from 200 to 218 in Chilliwack District. So what does the relationship look like on the prices? Well, we can see here, prices have been coming down month over month. You can kind of see that trend line. So this is where, as investors, we got to start thinking, well, if we see prices are coming down, there's not a lot of sales happening, we got a lot of inventory, what kind of market does that make? Buyer's market. What do we do in buyer's markets? We got to go out and buy. We got to be putting offers in, seeing what makes sense, right? Right now, the market is down 3.7% in Greater Vancouver, It's up slightly. In fact, even though the numbers don't show on the sales, but we'll see that impact later, 0.8% increase in over last year in Fraser Valley, and we are down 1.1% in Chilliwack. Now, one of the things I want to point out is this is an aggregate across all market sectors, across all areas. When we dive into the real, like the sub areas, and we dive into the different aspects, a good case in point is I've got a client with a condo in Surrey right now, and in his area, the inventory is up 55% in those condos. And I'm talking like, you know, looking at one bedroom condos. And the sales were down over 38%. So when you're looking at these numbers, you also have to make sure you're working with your agent to really dissect those sub-markets as well, because that's really key to look for where the opportunities lie in the market. We're gonna do a little bit of a dissection right now. We're gonna start out in Chilliwack and we're gonna work our way back towards Vancouver. As we can see here, Chilliwack at one point was up over $1 million. It's back under that $1 million. In fact, it's closer to just about falling below 900. It is still showing a positive growth of 2.3%. Listings are actually down slightly in the Chilliwack market. But again, that's a more affordable market. So if people are buying, especially in the detached market, they can definitely go out to that market and not have to pay 20%. Now, I know that's changing with the mortgage rules going up to 1.5 million, right? But until that takes effect, anyone buying over $1 million has to have that 20%. So that's an affordable market there. Townhouses are up very slightly. Condos are down. And we can see here, I mean, still the Chilliwack condos only at 94 condos. It's still, to me, low inventory. Abbotsford market shows very similar, except on the side of the inventory on townhouses and condos. You see huge spikes. This is where I said you can't follow just that 10% as a whole. We've got an increase of 43% on the listings in the townhouse market in Abbotsford and 48.4% on the condos. That's why we're starting to see some of that negative trends on the prices. Days on market are also increasing. That's because more buyers aren't buying. The sales are slow right now. Detached, we're seeing days on market increase. Listings are going up. Still slightly positive over last year though. Mission market shows fairly similar. Obviously, townhouse market's not doing too bad. It's fairly stable, still at an 8.9 growth over last year. But again, this market is a little bit of a weird one because the total inventory here is always very slow. This is very much a detached market, the Mission market, right? They are starting to get more inventory. We're seeing more developments start to go there, but it's still gonna take time before those units start coming up on a regular basis and more developers come. With only 35 listings on the market, still not a lot of inventory. That's why we're seeing some stable pricing there. Langley. Langley is down across the board very slightly, but you can see the huge jump in inventory. This is what I'm talking about. 60.5% increase in the inventory in the townhouse market and 57.4%. With that kind of inventory jump, we're definitely going to see over time, if we don't start to see buyers come into the market and absorb it, that negative 2.9 could potentially increase. So that's why I say, if you've got properties you're looking to sell, maybe hold on if you can. However, if you're looking to buy, there are people who are on the market right now who are dropping their prices. Look for where the people are motivated. One of the areas I can definitely tell you in the Langley, the Maple Ridge market, and in the Surrey market where there's opportunities right now for investors to jump in on is the assignment market. People right now have bought assignments back in 2022. Well, 2022 was what? It's the peak. It was the height of the market, right? So if they bought it up here and the prices have been coming down over time and inventory is flooding, they're getting ready to close. Also, since 2022, what happened to interest rates, Svetlana? Quite a bit, right? So with rates going up, they bought those properties at the fact that, hey, rates are sitting at like 1.9, 2%. I'll be able to buy this thing 2 years later, flip it. Now suddenly the properties are not selling. So we're seeing a lot of these assignments hitting the market right now at break even or even losses. One of our clients actually is taking a $30,000 loss on their deposit because he can't close. He must get out. So that is great opportunity for investors to go and find those properties. One, you're solving a problem for someone. You're helping get them out because if they can't close, well, they're going to lose their deposit, period. And there's a chance with the market we're in right now, they could be sued for any other additional losses. So you're actually providing a service by helping them get out, and you're picking up properties at rock bottom prices right now. So there's some good opportunity there. But of course, buy smart. Run your numbers. You need to know if you can actually carry those properties. Maple Ridge, similar scenario, up 42% on the townhouse market, 33.8 in condos. Prices are still up relative right now, but we'll see that pressure continue to push in those markets. Surrey, again, like I just talked about it, 55%. That's exactly what I was seeing in the condo market when I was talking about it with my client, right? So huge jump in inventory, 37.7 on the townhouses, up still in detached. We are already seeing that downward trend right now with 5.4 drop on the townhouses and 6.2. We're going to see that pressure on detached continue as we keep seeing that number of inventory climb, and we keep seeing this days on market climb as well. And then Vancouver, we move over to the Vancouver market. Again, the one thing about the Vancouver market we've talked about is it stayed relatively stable comparatively just because of the type of market it is. You know, when you're buying a $2 million house, you are impacted by interest rates, but at the same time, if you're buying that kind of property, you've got down payment money, you've got the ability to carry that if you're making that decision. However, inventory is still up. We have seen days on market drop, so there are buyers going there, but we'll see that pressure really start in the attached market at 37% increase in townhouses and 28 in condos as well. So definitely something to keep an eye on. However, as we continue to push further into the market, there is good chances that we're going to continue to see what with the banks? Rate drops, right? Well, I got a resident mortgage broker here, so we'll probably see more rate drops. The US, they already did a 0.5 drop already. So if we continue to see that downward pressure on interest rates, it might spur some buyers on. Now, I'm not going to try to tell you exactly when that is, right? So what you have to do is make sure when you're picking your properties, you're locking them down, you're running your numbers tight and making sure that you can ride through the rest of this market. Because on the other end of it, you're going to have rates coming down, which means you either lock in a fix now on a shorter term, get a renewal and your mortgage rate goes down, go on variable now, ride it down. And right now we are seeing pressure in the rental market. Now, it's been a little weird the last couple of months in the rental market. We have seen a lot of inventory hit, but at the same time, we have immigration still happening. More and more people are coming in. Housing starts are dropping. We're not building as much. So if you understand those fundamentals, there's always going to be people to move here, rent, and long-term will always do very, very well. But it's just spooky when you look at the numbers. All right, enough about the market, enough about me. Let's bring on our first guest speaker. We're going to bring up Owen to talk. Owen is an insurance broker with Fawcett Insurance. He offers insurance solutions of all types of risks within BC, home rentals, seasonal properties, as well as all types of business, commercial. And as a broker, he has access to every insurance market in Canada to find his clients the most coverage and for the best price possible. With that, I'm going to hand you this. I'm going to hand you that. Perfect. And welcome to our, you can just clip it right onto you.
This one's the mic. Okay, perfect.
That's the mic. And then that one advances your slides. And welcome to our stage.
Thank you, Cam.
Thank you. Give him a round of applause.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to Kelly and Cam for having me here tonight.
Picking up, so I'll just swap you to that one. You can clip that to you and put that
This
part in your
one
pocket.
on here. Yeah, awesome. So I don't work for an insurance company. I work for my clients. So what this means is if, for example, there's a claim situation, we're on your side as a voice of reason to the insurance company. to push back if we feel like the claim is being adjusted unfairly, if you're not getting a response time that you feel is worthy. At the end of the day, you guys want to do business with people you like, know, and trust. You know, the insurance component sells itself. You need it, right? So moving on, what I wanted to speak about today, as Cam had mentioned, we're having a bit of a spooky theme, and so I'll continue with that. Catastrophic events. We're seeing it more often these days around the world. If you guys paid attention to the news last week, looking at the headlines, there was Hurricane Milton that hit Florida. These days, Florida is becoming extremely difficult to insure from what I read online. But yeah, does Hurricane Milton and other global catastrophes, does that affect our insurance here in BC and in Vancouver? And the unfortunate reality is that it does. You know, you might not see it right away, but it will trickle down over the years. Before coming here, I did a quick Google search to see, what was the amount of the loss of Hurricane Milton, and it was estimated to be so far in the $30 billion range. And so as much as we're very far removed from Florida and that sort of thing, the reason why it affects us here is because you are all insured with the biggest insurance companies in Canada. Some of them are insuring, out in London and in the United States. And all of these insurance companies have their own insurance called reinsurance. And they're essentially ensuring that in the event of a catastrophic loss, that these insurance companies have the money to pay out for the claims. And so when you get a catastrophic loss like Hurricane Milton, the insurance companies' rates for the reinsurance go up, and as a result, that trickles down to us as the consumer as well. So as much as you might not see it in the next coming months, catastrophic losses like Hurricane Milton will trickle down to us as the consumer in the next couple of years. Speaking on a more local catastrophe that we had, in the Okanagan and the Shuswap area in 2023, in the summer, we had wildfires. Kelowna in particular, we were doing a lot of business with clients there, and we had clients that were trying to close on new homes and condos that they were purchasing at that time of year. Something to keep in mind if you're not aware of is if you're ever purchasing a property in these areas in the summertime with the wildfire risk, we can't bind any insurance if it's within 50 kilometers of an active wildfire. So if you have a mortgage and it's subject to having insurance in place, this can be an issue, right? So something to keep in mind if you're purchasing properties in those areas at this time of year. That was a very devastating loss for us locally, and because it's closer to where we live and where we're from, that has had a significant impact on our premiums. If you guys are insured and have been for the past 4 years or so, you've seen your premiums increase year after year, about 15%. And so when you look at that, okay, I don't know what's going on out there, but 15% year after year, that adds up to be a lot, right? 2023, there was an earthquake in Turkey, catastrophic, devastating loss. The amount of that loss came out to about 30 billion as well, and we started seeing the effect of that last year, actually, around this time. Earthquake, in general, has been going up, and now we're seeing minimum deductibles that used to be able to get a deductible of 5%, 10%. We're seeing a lot of insurance companies now offering a minimum deductible of 15, 20, 25. And what does that mean? That means you have a home insured to a rebuild cost of 1 million, and it's got a 20% deductible. That's a significant financial burden that you have to pay in the event there's an earthquake here and you need your home rebuilt or repaired, right? So there are products that can cover you for that earthquake deductible itself. You know, if you don't have $200,000 worth of cash sitting around to be able to pay for an earthquake deductible, we do have products that will cover you for that deductible specifically. Those products would be subject to a $5,000 deductible. You know, you are paying the premium for it as well, but you know, you have the peace of mind knowing that you don't have to shell out a $200,000 deductible, right? Lastly, another local event that happened recently was the 2021 floods here in BC. I remember it was around November in that year. You know, you would look outside and it would be pouring for days on end. You'd look in the news and see photos from Abbotsford and homes completely submerged in water, roads, that sort of thing. And so once again, that's just contributed to the year after year insurance premiums that we're seeing in increases. This is a chart of Canada's top 10 highest insured severe weather losses on record since they've been keeping track of it. So this is essentially the amount that the insurance the Canadian insurance industry has had to pay out in claims in certain years. So what you can see here is in the top 7, you have the past 4 years in the top 7 for the worst catastrophic payouts in Canadian insurance history, right? So 2023, 2022, 2021, and 2020 are all in the top 7 worst years for payouts for insurance claims, right? So once again, just goes to speak as to why you're seeing such high rates these days. Climate change is having its effect, and we're seeing it with the insurance premiums that we're paying. Moving on, wanted to speak more about rental properties and just what to know in general in 2024 and what we're seeing at our brokerage here. Number one, we got to say is make sure you vet your tenants, okay? We've had people calling just the past couple weeks. Tenants these days with the cost of living can't pay the rent anymore or won't pay the rent anymore. The eviction process is taking forever. It's months after months without receiving rental income. And we've had questions, can I make a claim on my insurance policy for my lost rental income? And unfortunately in that scenario, you can't. There's no insured peril that has triggered the policy for you to be able to make a claim on your rental income, your lost rental income, right? We had another client, actually, a story from a couple years ago. Their tenant was no longer able to pay for their hydro, for heating and electricity. It was in Kelowna, and it was getting into the winter months, and it was getting cold. And what do you do when you don't have heat, right? You need to stay warm. This person decided to create a bonfire in the living room. Yeah, and as you can imagine what happened, the unit went up in flames. A couple of the units in the building were damaged. Luckily, the whole building wasn't destroyed. But then what our client saw as a result of that is they went from paying a $900 a year premium for their rental condo policy to he's been paying about $3,000 a year now as a result of that, having that at-fault claim. Moving on, short-term rentals, that's been in the news for the past couple of years with new legislation and what's allowed and not allowed. At our brokerage, we do have access to companies and markets that will insure you, even if you are breaking the rules and breaking the law. There is a company that will still insure you. Most won't, but we do have options for that. So if you were needing a solution, we do have solutions for you. Make sure your tenants carry their own insurance. So speaking back to our client who had the tenant who had the bonfire in the living room, if that tenant had their own insurance, they'd have liability coverage under that policy, and our client's insurance company would have then subrogated and sued their tenant. And because the tenant had a liability policy in place, it would have paid out and therefore would have negated any sort of insurance premium increase as a result on his policy. Make sure you have adequate rental income limits these days. With the time it takes to get permits and just the time it takes to build, if you incur a catastrophic loss, most people these days are only insured to about 1 year's worth of rental income, and it's really not sufficient. So make sure you're having a discussion or come speak to me. I can take a look at your policy. Have a couple years on there. And lastly, not so much related to rental properties, but just detached dwellings in general. Make sure you have you're insured to an adequate building value. The cost to build has really increased over the past 4 or 5 years. And with the nature of insurance and just renewals, many people have just renewed it year after year without really taking a look at what's the value that my home is insured to, and is it still adequate for this day and age. Moving on, some stuff to just consider now if you are looking at purchasing a property, whether it's now or in the future. This stuff always comes up, and likely you might have incurred a lot of this if you're in the real estate game and investing. But firstly, poly B plumbing. Poly B plumbing is something that was used in the late 80s and early 90s and has been found to be defective, causing leaks. The number of insurance companies that will actually write business that has poly B is very little. Most of them will require that you get it replaced or very high deductibles if you have it. So something to consider if you're purchasing a property, get an inspection. Same thing with knob and tube or aluminum wiring. It's a fire hazard, prone to overheating. Most insurance companies will not write any business with this type of wiring. And so the pool of insurance companies that we have access to quote you with is much more limited, right? So you're not getting the best deal. You're going to be paying more for insurance. Is there an oil tank, an oil furnace? They're a big liability, environmental liability, and potential hazard with regards to being engulfed in flames and whatnot. Most insurance companies don't want anything to do with oil tanks, so make sure that's something that's being investigated if you're purchasing an older property. How old is the roof? Has it been updated? Same thing with the heating. Insurance companies want to see this updated if they're going to write the business, especially if it's a new business. What's your claims history look like? Have you had any claims in the past 5 years? What was the amount that was paid out for it? And ultimately, what have you done to mitigate this from happening again? Any claims within the past 5 years get looked at and result in increased premiums and lower selection in terms of the insurance companies that we can place you with. Number of mortgages. So are you extremely leveraged? How many mortgages are you going to have? Is it going to be a standard or a non-standard lender? The insurance companies start to ask themselves, if you're at 3 lenders, maybe some of them non-standard, why is this individual so leveraged? Could they potentially be someone who is a moral hazard, where they might get to the point where are they in such a tight financial situation where they might consider lighting their house on fire and some sort of insurance fraud to get a payout, right? Is it on leasehold land versus freehold land? Most insurance companies don't like to write business on leasehold land, so that creates problems as well. So it's something to just keep in mind and make sure you have a discussion with your broker or myself to make sure you're insured correctly. Strata deductibles, if you're buying in a condo building. A couple of years ago, we were seeing strata water deductibles as high as $750,000. That's what I saw, right? And if you don't realize what the implications of that are, if you have water damage that originates in your unit, whether you're living in there or it's a rental, and it causes damage to the building, the nature of water in general is just so damaging the way it trickles down. The insurance or the strata will have to make a claim under their insurance policy. They have a $750,000 deductible that needs to be paid. And because the damage originated from your unit, you would then get assessed that deductible and be made responsible for paying it. So we can insure you against that, but once again, something to consider when you're buying a property, the cost of the insurance if there's a high deductible like that. Same thing goes with earthquake. Like I was saying, the Turkey earthquake has increased deductibles year after year, and so just another thing to consider. What's the occupancy of the property that you're purchasing? You're buying it as an investment property. Is it going to be a rental, short-term or long-term? Or potentially, are you considering using this as a rooming house, which is considered 4 or more unrelated individuals? That's really where you see the sharp increase in premium and the types of insurance companies that will be writing that business. Once you're at the 4 or more, it's considered a rooming house, and that completely changes the risk that the insurance companies are taking on. Who's on title? Is it going to be your personal name, or is it going to be a holding company? That will affect the insurance and the companies that we can place you with. How many rental properties do you own? If it's in your personal name, maybe you have a couple, 3. Once you start getting to 4 or 5, a lot of the insurance companies at that point are saying, hey, this isn't a personal risk anymore. This is a commercial operation that you're running. This needs to be insured commercially. Once again, impacts the premium and everything like that. At the end of the day, though, we do find solutions for our clients. That's what we're here for as a broker. Some of you might be dealing directly with companies like Square One or BCAA. You really want to have a broker on your side to make sure you're insured correctly, and ultimately someone that you can just go to, right, for that personal relationship. I'm looking to build relationships with all my clients and have them be long-lasting for years and years, right, as we all go through life. So if any of you guys have any questions or want to discuss your insurance further or have a second look at it, please don't hesitate to reach out. I got my business cards on me. We can have a chat after this. And yeah, other than that, any questions, guys? Yeah.
So just ask when they ask the questions, just make sure you repeat it back so everyone on Zoom can hear.
Okay. Yeah.
Regarding the rooming house,
Yeah.
I asked the insurance company before, and what is considered rooming house? If you rent a room separate to each different individual, is a rooming house. But what if you rent to a group of maybe they are co-workers?
Mm-hmm.
They are not related by blood, but they are co-workers. So is this also considered rooming house?
Yeah, so the question was, what's considered a rooming house? Ultimately, a rooming house is, if you have, like 4 or more unrelated individuals living within a unit. So a unit would be, it has its own entrance, it has one kitchen, and you have 4 or more individuals living within that one unit.
Or
Yeah. Exactly. So it wouldn't be like, if you had an upstairs suite and a basement suite and you had 2 in each, that wouldn't be considered a rooming house because of the split and the two units with 2 separate entrances, 2 separate kitchens. But once you have 1 suite with 4 or more individuals living in it, that's considered a rooming house.
But they're the co-workers. Or if you rent a so
Yeah, like
so
if
this
they're
is something I want to get the true answer about. But
Yeah, so if they're unrelated, like if they're not related, like as much as they might work together, they're not related
they
in
work in
family.
the same store, same like corporate, yes.
Totally. So in terms of insurance, though, those would be they would still be considered unrelated individuals. So that would be considered a rooming house at that point. Yeah. So something to keep in mind, right? So make sure you're insured correctly, because in the event of a claim, if it comes to light that this wasn't clarified, then there could be implications or issues if a claim were to arise, right? So, yeah. Yeah.
I have a quick question, hopefully.
Yeah.
So I came to a situation where my insurance company is saying that I have a so like this particular insurance company, if I'm gonna insure from so like when I bought the policy, like I'm insured for that, but so I understand this, right? Risks like you just talked about, like disasters. But is this normally should I look for another company that still insures? Is this normally a companies going the same way, or should I just like try to kind of find an insurance company who is not taking that for this year and try to insure with them? Like, what should I do in this occasion? They just told me like, you know what? You renewed, but they're not covering you for this anymore. I'm like out of where? Like
Yeah.
seriously, like I bought one policy, I'm renewing the policy, and all of a sudden they're changing the policy while I'm renewing.
Totally. Yeah, so for the people online, the question was, she had a renewal, and the first year she was offered flood insurance. The second year she was no longer offered flood insurance. What should she do? Can the insurance companies do that? And the answer is yes, the insurance company can, at any point upon renewal of the policy, they can change their terms. Perhaps they no longer want to offer flood coverage because they view it as too high of a risk at that point. You should definitely look at finding a new policy. Your broker should. Yeah, there's options out there.
So it's not like all go the same direction.
Not all companies will go the same direction because hey, that's an opportunity for some of them to capitalize on that, right?
I should explore. It's not like because when I asked that question to the broker, they said, well, when one company does this, most
Yeah.
of them, like over time, turn.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, there's so many different companies to choose from, right? There's like not everyone's going to be declining flood. Like there's definitely certain areas that are high risk flood zones. We do have access to one company and high risk earthquake zones as well, where some companies won't write earthquake in specific zones. We do have a new company that's come on board actually that their whole thing is they have no blackout zones whatsoever for anything. They will insure earthquake and flood no matter where. Of course, if it's in a high risk zone, you pay the premium for that. But if you're looking for that coverage, it's an option. But insurance companies in general, there's so many to pick and choose from. There's always going to be a solution. So it's not like you're not insurable for flood or anything like that. Yeah. So.
All right, we got a question online here from Crystal. She asks, what's the process to move existing policies to Fawcett Insurance, and do they need to wait until renewal time?
Yeah, it's best to wait until renewal time. You're not going to be cut with any sort of penalty as a result. The process is just, come speak to me, shoot me an email, send me a phone call. We'll go through a questionnaire, collect more information, and then at that point, once we have all of your information, we're going to be quoting it with all the biggest insurance companies in Canada, unless it's a special type of risk that needs to be placed with a special market. And then, slowly you can move everything over and have everything under one roof with one person to consult with if that's me. Yeah. Awesome, guys.
Any questions in the room here? Anyone else online? No?
No.
All right.
Okay.
Guess we covered it.
Thank you so much,
Thanks
man.
much. Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Thank you. I'm going to steal those back from you. Grab it out of your pocket. I won't dig in there, though. There we go.
Thanks, man.
Excellent. I'll grab that back. Thank you. All right, round of applause. Thank you. All right, we're going to move into our next segment here, which is our investor spotlight. So we're going to bring up Svetlana. Now, as I mentioned before, Svetlana has been on this stage before. She's come out and helped us out talking about what's going on in the mortgage broker side of things, what's going on in interest rates and TD and everything like that. And today we said, you know what, you're also an avid investor yourself. So why don't we get to hear that side of your story today?
I'm not as avid as someone in the room here, but maybe getting there.
You're definitely taking action out there. And we want to highlight people that are just like you in the crowd as well, because when we bring out some of our speakers and they have huge portfolios, sometimes it can feel like that's such a daunting, like if we bring up Derek and the guy's got like 15 million properties, I'm just kidding, it's not that high, but you know, when you bring up someone who might feel a little bit like they're above where your level is, sometimes that can be a little daunting. So that's why we like to bring out some of our action takers to help bring it down to reality that anyone can do this. And Svetlana obviously is definitely taking action in the market right now, and she's also working with her clients to take action in this market. So we're going to talk about that. First and foremost, Svetlana, how long have you been investing in real estate?
Since 2016, so 8 years.
8 years now. Okay, and what made you decide to start investing in real estate? What was that trigger that said, I'm going to start buying rental properties?
So when, I don't know if you remember when the prices started to go up in 2016, and every new house that was listed like 5, 10, 30,000 more. It was the first time when I actually like realized what's going on, what's happening. And I'm like started to calculate because we were buying our own home and I was following the market, and I was like thinking about other people, like, oh my God, they bought this 2 years ago and they made like $50,000, and I was like, why am I not that
No-brainer
person?
at that point.
Yeah, so just monitoring the market. I guess I was in the market for my own home, and I noticed how prices went up, so I decided to start then.
Excellent.
How long have you been a mortgage broker? Were you a mortgage broker?
Kelly asks, how long have you been a mortgage broker?
No, I'm a mortgage specialist with the TD Bank, so I'm not a broker because I don't work with other banks.
Right.
But with the TD, doing only mortgages, been 4 years. But with banking industry, being since 2011, started from the teller, did all that.
Worked your way up.
Yeah. So, but no, I didn't know mortgages when I started, but I was working as a teller at the bank.
Got it. So what kind of strategies did you implement first? Like, did you have any, like, were you flipping properties? Were you just buying rentals? What was the strategy that you dove into first?
I didn't have a strategy. I just thought like, well, first we just bought a house, and I tried to convince my husband because I saw how properties were going up, and I'm like, let's buy a condo, like, because I didn't want to buy a house with a suite. I didn't know how it would work out with tenants and with us being a young family. So I said, let's buy a condo. Like, we have a little bit of money. Let's buy a condo. He's like, no, like, you'll be paying a mortgage and then a condo. Like, that's that famous words of wisdom. Not really. So I was so upset. I didn't buy. We had an accepted contract, and I remember it was 30,000 for a 2-bedroom condo in Maple Ridge.
Maple Ridge.
Yeah, Maple Ridge. Yeah, and we were under contract, and he told me not to buy it, and I listened, and it went up. Because I followed the market, and it went up 60,000 in 6 months. And to this day, I keep reminding him on this because I'm like, you could have bought a truck for this money.
Right.
So, and he realized his mistake, and now he just signs papers. So he's like, oh, I'm going to go buy a condo. He's like, okay. So that's how I started, but mostly flipping. I don't have the patience.
Got it. So mostly flipping properties. So you're looking for the quick equity, get in, get out. Have you bought any properties that you're holding right now? Because I think you've done some work in pre-construction and some other things.
Yeah, like I have to hold because you don't want to sell right now. So I don't have a lot of single family homes, mostly condos. I'm trying to get into Airbnb business. That's on the side, but been pretty successful with condos so far. I like to buy newer, hold them for 2-3 years
Yep.
and sell them, buy 2, then hold them, then sell, then buy 4. So yeah, so
Multiply it,
Yeah,
yeah,
multiplying
absolutely.
it, yeah.
Well, good thing is our next presentation, you're going to see some Airbnb opportunities for sure. So,
There you go.
what's been one of your best investments, and what's been one of your worst investments to date?
thanks God, I have not had a worse investment yet.
Okay.
So I think I'm lucky. Think I have a little bit of the sense on that. But my worst investment, where I thought it was, when I bought a pre-sale in Chilliwack. Nobody
Okay.
was buying Chilliwack at
Right.
the time. I bought it in 2018. It was still like hot market, like was cooling down because of that stress test announcement.
Yeah.
So it was a pre-sale, $20,000. That's all you paid, $20,000. You're in. It was Midtown. You probably know
Midtown,
Midtown. Yeah.
the townhouses.
Yeah, so I
we
bought
do
that
know
one,
those.
$520,000. And what happened the year I completed? It went down. So it went down 60,000 probably. Thanks God, the appraisal went
Yeah.
was okay at the time I was doing it. So I was like, oh my God, what did I do? and then COVID hit. And I had a child. I went on EI, and I had to postpone my mortgage payments. I was like, what did I do? Like, what? Like, I was so stressed that like I had to pay extra monthly for costs and everything, and I was very, very upset, very sad. I thought I made the worst decision in my life. Held it until, you know when, 2022. So you know how much I sold it for?
What'd you sell it for?
810.
Wow. So it started out bad, but turned out well if you hold long enough,
So
right?
exactly. So you just have to weather the storm. Real
Absolutely.
estate goes up. So like my worst investments turned into one of the best investments. So that I learned my lesson, and I don't complain anymore.
Excellent. I mean, one of my questions is going to be what's your best advice for investors? And you've said one piece of advice, definitely hold on and weather the storm. But is there any other advice that you would give to a new investor out there that, you know, especially if they're sitting on the fence, not sure if they're going to get into the market or not?
Well, just do it.
Just do it.
I'm like a Nike promotion right now. No,
Yeah.
but like if you feel that this is what you have to do, you just have to do it.
Absolutely.
And never give up when it's tough, because that's when everybody gives up. That's why the inventory is so high. That's why like it's not the time to sell. Like and that's what I tell to my clients. They're like, "Oh my God, so stressful. I pay $500 a month, like, and it's so stressful." I'm like, if you still have money, like for food and everything, you can weather it and like never. I can understand losing money on I don't know, some crappy stock because the company went under. But I mean, BC real estate, really, like you will still go back. You'll still make at least 10,000. Don't sell for loss unless you like completely like need the money like to feed your kids or something.
Now, I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit because you are a mortgage broker, but you're also working on your own portfolio as well. As these tougher times have come up, what kind of strategies do you talk about and have you implemented to help kind of mitigate some of these changes to help weather that storm?
Of higher payments?
Higher payments, what's going on? Like, how are you doing any restructuring?
For
Have you
myself?
changed anything for yourself? And then what are you advising clients to do as well?
I can't advise the clients what I do myself.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I just try to make
Restrictions.
more money. No, like I just make my husband to make more money so we can pay for it and try to make money myself. But I can't tell a client to make more money because they'll get upset sometimes. They're like, oh, yeah. So, but I tell them that as a real estate, it's a long-term investment, and you're not in this business to lose money. You didn't come here to lose money. You're here to make money. So you have to, wait out a little bit. I try to show them the trends, the history, the ups and downs, and say, like, we're here. You're going to be here. Like, every time we come back to that. And every time we're back, it's higher than the previous. So I try to kind of
Reiterate
talk
and-
to them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Their language, though.
being a mortgage advisor, has that helped you as you've continued to grow your portfolio, or has that been a hindrance for you in any way?
It was not a hindrance. It helped me to buy more.
Yeah.
That's the only place it helped. Like, the only thing it helped me, it's just ability to buy more.
Because you know all the ins and outs now and all
Yeah.
that good stuff. In fact, a lot of times we've got clients that are struggling with their mortgage. We just say, call Svetlana. and she gets it done. So she knows how to work it. So absolutely. Now, I would say, what's the one kind of thing you'd say, because you've been doing a lot of work with Elisa on our team, you've been sponsoring our events. What's it been like working as a client with our team?
It's been amazing because I actually, at the time when everything was high, when we actually started coming to these events, we felt like we were a celebrity who kind of got something, the secret sect of some sort that like we were just absorbing all the knowledge and everything. Like it was amazing as a client. Like I worked with both Kelly and Elisa, so yeah, it's like the knowledge that you are happily sharing with clients and always calm. Like I don't know how Kelly does it. She keeps calm in any situation. So yeah, so I have a lot to learn still.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you coming out here tonight. We always appreciate
Thank you.
sharing these stories, and give her a round of applause. This has been amazing what she's built. So. All right, and we're going to move on to our final speaker, but this is where I definitely recommend, if you haven't been taking photos, take some photos, tag us, because what you're going to really want is take some photos of the next speakers and share it with your friends and family for sure, because this opportunity that they're going to be sharing is not something that you can find very easily in most markets. We're going to talk about why the fundamentals make sense to make the investment out in this area. We're going to talk about why the opportunity out here is different than anything you're going to find in the Lower Mainland. But to do that, I'm not going to be the one presenting it. We're going to bring up Mandeep Bassi and Nick Niaksu. Come on up, guys. Both of them are highly experienced real estate agents here in the Lower Mainland with Pacific Real Estate and Angel Hasman. They also have basically branched out now. You've been doing luxury real estate, and now you've branched out into doing project marketing, and that's what you're going to be doing today, is highlighting a project for us today, right?
That's right, and I'm an investor as well, and you know, our clients who we sell these nice houses to are also developers at times. And when our client invited us out to Princeton to have a look at this project, I'm like, okay, well, this is not really, you know, I get it as an investor, but you know, it's not my wheelhouse for selling. But you know, Mandeep and Sidra, who have a killer project marketing team, invited them along as well. And when I was there, I was like, this is a no-brainer. Yeah, this is wild. Absolutely. And you know, to find you know, literally a gold nugget, it's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I was just doing actually some stats real quick. So we're talking about how the market's down, and we're talking about this is a Halloween show, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to go into the twilight zone of real estate right now.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to give you this, whoever wants it there for your slides, and I'll let you have the stage. So
right.
Just advance it with that one there. Okay.
So just real quick about Princeton this year. Year to date, there's been 50 sales, and there's 48 active listings right now. Last year, there were 46 sales, so they're up. Volume-wise, there you go. There's a market that's up year over year. Yeah, my name's Nick Niaksu. This is Mandeep.
So we'll start off with a quick video, just to highlight what's happening in Princeton now and what the future of Princeton will look like going forward. So we'll go ahead and play that video first.
Yeah,
right?
just hit the button.
Hit the button?
Yeah,
okay.
should advance to it. And then hit it one more time.
There's nothing like waking up in the morning and looking out the window and seeing fog patches in the valleys, beautiful trees, the rivers and the streams. The beauty here is incredible, and it's just at our doorstep.
I love so many different things about Princeton. Small town appeal of this community. As you come in from any direction, you see the valley open up, and you know that there's a strong community here.
I have been in Princeton with my family about 20 years now. It's got a sense of community where everybody knows each other. Your children play together in the sports teams and go to school together. And it's also got proximity to all the major centers, the orchards, the vineyards, and the retail.
Drive 5 minutes and you're out of the town and you're into the wilderness, and you can be at 150 different fishing lakes or camping lakes, and you feel the great outdoors right in town. So.
I live way up in the mountains, it's nice and quiet, and I just like the slow lifestyle. There's a lot of stuff you can do if you're into that outdoorsy type stuff.
I think the thing that I'm most proud of is how we've seen the town grow over the time that I've been here, and some of the increase we've had in tourism and business development.
We've got some amazing programs going for storefront revitalization, our parks, the statue walk, everything like that. We've also incentivized industry to come here. and we've been selling industrial lots. We have new industries flourishing here. An all-around good economic sense is what we've been trying to foster here.
When I came here in 2009, it was a sleepy village with a Chevron stop, and people just passed through. And now with all the different industries that are opening and the building that's going on, this town has become a magnet for people.
It's got a lot of natural draws, really good paying jobs, a sense of community that they can come and enjoy a lifestyle and raise families in, but they have to have somewhere to live.
We have a lot of people that are from the coast that would like to move here from different parts, and unfortunately, as we've gotten a little busier, the limited housing we had has been pretty much bought up, so there's not a lot of new housing here for people.
We are working with developers right now, and in the full stream, I think there's between 300 and 500 new homes that we are working towards developing in the community. It's the largest growth that our community has seen since probably the gold rush. Next 5 to 10 years, our big priority is to diversify the economy even more. We're working with industry partners to strengthen their industries, but we're also working to create new industry here. So we have some high tech that's looking at coming to the community. We're looking really to foster that, and we're also looking at post-secondary and seeing how can we work with them to bring programming into the community.
My time in Princeton has been also about building a family as well, and I've got young kids now in the community that are from a generational family here in town, and getting to see them raised where their grandparents and great-grandparents were raised too is a major sense of pride for my family and for me.
I've always said to people, Princeton is what you make it, it's not what you expect. You come here with the expectation that you're going to be able to do anything you want. It's just the perfect location for living in the outdoors. Princeton's the place to be.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool that the mayor would volunteer to be in a marketing video for a real estate development. That's it's unusual, but the housing requirements up there are so large that it is a plead for developers to build because they need housing and rentals. There's one major industry that wasn't on that video. It is the Copper Mountain Mine. While we were filming that video, they are in the middle of being acquired by Hudbay in Toronto for $500 million. That acquisition went through in December, and this was filmed before that. They are the largest employer in Princeton. They're expanding their mine by 50% efficiency and hiring right now 150 new employees. They do not have housing. And the rental market is a 0% vacancy right now. If you go onto the Princeton Facebook webpage, you'll see something go up for rent, and it'll be rented in 4 hours, and for very, very high rental amounts as well. So, and that is for product that we would call very inferior motel-esque product. The product that we're building is 6 stories. It is a state-of-the-art building, underground parking, 4-star heating and cooling. This is something that has never been done in Princeton before, and we are super excited to bring it to them, and so is the industry. Not just the real estate industry, but all the natural resource industries as well.
Yeah, so Princeton Point is right now the only pre-sale project and multifamily development happening in Princeton. So when Nick and I, for about 18 months, when we sat down with the city council, the mayor, and so forth, this is something that they desperately need, just to allow the different industries. Like Nick mentioned, the mine, the mill, there's healthcare, there's a hospital, concrete plant, all of them to expand their businesses. Housing is the biggest need that they require right now for these companies to also grow going forward. Looking at these stats of why Princeton Point, again, there isn't any vacancy in Princeton right now. Just like in the video, the income, average income is quite high in Princeton. And again, there's no foreign buyers tax as well in Princeton and on this project.
Yeah, and there's also no short-term rental restrictions as well, and the mayor is adamant that will never come into play. If they did, then it would destroy their hirees for natural resources. Go back to the last slide 1 second here, sorry. When they say the average income is $56,000, that's residents of Princeton. The starting wage at the mine is $60,000, up to $140,000 plus per year, and many of them are contractors, so they don't fall into the average income stat. For the mine, it's at least 6 figures, according to Frank, who is the GM of Hud Bay out of Toronto, out of Vancouver, and he told me that directly face to face.
Yeah, a lot of the employees in the mine and the other sectors are contract workers. So a lot of them are actually staying about an hour away from Princeton, driving in just because there isn't any housing right now available in Princeton for a lot of these high-paid positions and individuals that are working in the mine, the mill, health sector, and the concrete sector and the construction sector. Again, this is just highlighting the different economic drivers in Princeton right now. Mining, forestry, industry, construction, branching tourism, but again, they're also trying to expand, right? So like how what the mayor mentioned in the video, they're trying to go get some big tech, post-secondary. There's a lot of land, a lot of space in Princeton for it to go industrial-wise. So they are pitching hard to get big tech to move over, post-secondary to move over. But for all that to happen, housing needs to be there first and foremost. You can attract big tech and different industries once you have the available housing. And this is where, in those conversations, this is where Princeton Point came about. And the 150 condos came about from there as a step one. And there'll be many more, in our opinion, a lot more development happening a few years from now, 3 to 5, 6 years from now. But anybody that gets into Princeton Point is truly getting in first before anything else comes there, right? So it's a great opportunity to be first in while the city or the town starts to develop a lot more than it is right now. I'll go to the next slide.
So yeah, it's not a typo. This is not in pesos, this is real dollars. So our pricing for studios, and they're nice studios, they're large, 510 square feet. That's a Vancouver 1-bedroom. We start at $269,900 to $279,900, and we have large 1-bedrooms as well, and 2 bedrooms. Our average sellout in the whole building is about $550 a foot, and it's a very attractive pricing. I mean, obviously it's extremely hard to bring product that's not affordable to or attainable to the market, but working with the mayor and the building department in Princeton, everything happened very quick. It wasn't a long process to bring a project through, as long as we were organized with it, and so we were able to get a DP done in 90 days.
Yeah, and when we sat down with the architects and the builders in the city, ideally we tried to go as large as we could on the units. All units come with parking, centralized AC in the entire building, amenities, rooftop amenities, gym, all that's built in within the building as well.
Yeah, so we have some rental projections here based on multiple sources. This is outside third-party sources giving us feedback, including rental agents in Princeton. There's 11 realtors in Princeton, 2 that manage all the rentals in Princeton effectively. And this is all a consensus of what we could achieve right now for rentals. So you can see right out of the gate, and this is one of the only markets that I can see cash flow right away for long-term rental. And then when you get into the short-term rental opportunities, especially with a customer base like the mine, these are very, very light. You can do your research as well. Go online, search for motels, nightly rates. You'll get anywhere from $100 to $150 depending on the day of the week, and you're getting something extremely inferior, and they're fully booked all the time because of the mine.
Yeah, and we kept our rental projections fairly conservative, like we do for all of our projects. Even the long-term rental, we did keep them fairly conservative. Short-term, we kept it at 60% blended occupancy for the entire year. But again, I always say if 4 or 5 people want to go to Princeton today, we're not going to get a room, right? Maybe there's 1 room available or 2, and we usually end up staying in a Soyuz or an hour away as well, just because there isn't any rooms available at all, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have some really nice incentives for the Kelly Fry team, and and we're actually
Done as well for us.
yeah, and it was, and, you know, and being, this is what's great about you guys. You guys are very proactive. You tell us what you really need to make something, your clients feel special. And we were able to convince our client to make that happen. So we have a 10% total deposit structure, which was great anyways, but we've even broken it down further for the Kelly Fry team. So it's at 2.5% deposit within 7 days, so right after the rescission period. 2.5%, additional 2.5% after 90 days, and 5% within 8 months. You're not going to see, ads on Instagram saying only 10% down now, and then another 15% later. It's total 10%, and that's it. And at these price points, it's extremely attainable for investors.
Just like to say, so the studio is at $269.9. The 2.5% deposit is $6,747.50.
There you go.
It's not much.
Yeah.
Right, and then the assignment fee has been waived. We have an admin fee that's in all contracts in case we execute the assignment for legal fees, but the 3% assignment fee has been waived for the Kelly Fry team as well. Every unit comes with 1 parking stall, underground parking. Our completion is estimated for 2027, and our estimated price per foot for our strata fees are 33 cents a foot. Just pie in the sky. This is something that we worked with really closely with the architect and with the strata management company to come together with a budget that actually is real, and we have that experience to do so. We have one more.
I think there's another video.
We have one more video that we created recently that should be in the drive.
Oh, it was in the drive? Okay.
Yeah, about the mine. The one thing about the mine, and you might think that, it might be a risk having a natural resource like that. What happens if, the price of copper drops, or what happens if, whatever happens. Mitsubishi owns 25% of the mine, and they have a contract to buy every single ounce of copper that comes out of that mine. So forever and ever, ever. So they have a blended rate that they've already agreed to with Hud Bay, and that's a 25-year contract. Additionally, there's a second mine that's being prospected and found, and it's in the process of being developed right now. It should be up and running in 5 years. So it'll double the capacity of that mine. This is where the 300 to 500 new employees for Hud Bay is anticipated the next 5 to 10 years. So there's so much growth happening in Princeton right now, and that is why we have the mayor in our marketing video, and it's pretty neat to see.
Okay, I was going to bring up that video for you guys.
Sure.
I quickly have to switch it for these guys to see it here, so let's remove that.
I was just gonna say a few things, because I've been selling this project, so there's some points that I retain when I was selling. Firstly, I got my 23-year-old daughter to buy one, which I was super excited to present something that could cash flow, so she did a joint venture with her friend, so that was pretty wicked. Loved it, and she was at the show we were at in Toronto with Scott McGilvery's event, also selling the clients, because she took, she had a lot of confidence in it. Some of the things that you said that I think are important, I believe it says that the mine has about 21 to 30 years of supply.
21, yeah, so up to 30-year lifespan for the mine. Basically, all the product is basically pre-sold. So they're just now working around the clock as much as they can to fulfill those contracts for the next 30 years, right? And then employees is what they need, and housing is what they need to get employees attracted to the mine and create more jobs.
And I'll just give you one, we have the map up here real quick. That's our site. This is the main road up to Copper Mountain mine. It's a block away. Workers will stay there and then hop on a bus that picks them up in that little circle area and then drives them up to the mine.
And I think you guys mentioned to me too that the mine is interested in signing leases for up to 2 years for their employees once it gets closer.
Yeah, so they're not in the business of acquiring actual units because they'd rather use their capital for their own production. To get employees, attract more employees, they're open to, I think they have 7 to 10 day work weeks and so forth, and partnering up with investors or certain investors to have their employees housed in the units on a longer term lease basis.
And then I think you told me that the residents of Princeton had the first right to buy
Correct,
facilities,
yeah.
so they bought about 18, is that correct?
Yeah, they're a little bit less than they're about a 10, 11 units total that they purchased, and we have 27 now secured. Yeah, and that's, and we haven't really marketed this hard yet. We're just starting right now to do so. And but you know, we're sort of, we were going to start full gangbusters this month, but then we formed a relationship with you guys, and you said hold off until end of October.
You know, I
Yeah.
such great pride because I had 2 times on stage in Toronto, and you know, to be able to come out and say BC has an affordable project that cash flows, all the other realtors were so mad at us because we were the only ones selling. So it was great.
And that's exactly what I saw when I went up there too. BC has a cash flowing property. Yeah.
How many units are there?
150 total.
150 total?
Yeah, but that's also including ground level accessible units that are being held off, and top level that's being, the penthouse levels being withheld as well by the developer. So this, yeah, they don't count. Yeah, that's right.
So the building on the bottom floor does have fully accessible units.
And then if you could talk a little bit about so the population is about 3,000, but on any given day, it doubles with the flow through of people, I think. I remember reading.
Yeah.
And then in the summer, it's like considerably higher.
Considerably higher. The traffic that goes through Princeton, I think the busiest day is like 21,000 visitors come through on a daily basis. Again, a majority of them, I think around 90% of them, stay up to 6 to 8 hours. They just don't stay overnight because there's no housing there for them to stay overnight, right? So this would be, housing's their one area that they're completely lacking. So with the mayor and the council fully on board, I'm very progressive now to really grow the town. Princeton Point is their first staple project to attract and get things going in the housing sector.
Yeah, and when you look at the population of 3,000, it doesn't include contract workers or new immigrants.
Yeah.
So there's probably at least 1,000 people there that aren't accounted in that number right now.
And can you talk to us a little bit about the builder and the developer? I was going to ask that.
So Builders BC Premier Builder Group from Alberta. They've done, it's in the investor profile as well in that blue book. So they've done Starbucks, hotels, very strong track record, mostly commercial, underground parking, 3 to 6 level buildings. They've done it throughout. And then Alia Developments is our developer. They're local from Burnaby and North Vancouver. They're the developers that acquired the land, and the Premier Builder Group is a GC that's fully responsible to building up the entire project.
We just have a question also online just about is it insurable? Because that's the area that was in the flooding, but we've had that discussion.
We've had that discussion
Maybe
as
you
well.
can expand on that.
It is, yes. We are actually beyond, so when they had the 100-year event when it flooded, our site didn't flood. Right? So that's a 15-meter setback from high water mark. But with that, when that flooding took place, or after, as legislation came out for the province mandating that your setbacks are now 30 meters from that same point. So and we are in that within that 30-meter setback. So we are well protected from any flooding, or even compared to today's standards, and that should be insurable. Yeah.
It is if you come to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, and it's like, yeah, it will be insurable. Yeah. So we've passed all the environmental studies. Our geotech is done. Again, our DP's approved, so we passed all those hurdles and quite quickly.
Yeah, perfect. All right, I'll play your video here quick for the line.
Biggest challenge right now has been housing. It's people want to move here to work, but we don't have places for people to live. That's why, we are working with developers right now, and we've cut as much red tape as we can to foster that development. I think there's between 300 and 500 new homes that we are working towards developing in the community. It's the largest growth that our community has seen since probably the gold rush.
I think the thing that I'm most proud of is how we've seen the town grow over the time that I've been here, and some of the increase we've had in tourism and business development, new industry coming here, new residents moving here from the coast. I'd say the biggest challenge our employers face is staffing. We have a very low unemployment rate here in town. Anyone who wants a job probably could have a job here. And we're seeing that as becoming an issue with some of our bigger employers. It's a challenge to bring in people. So our largest employers here are the mine and the mill. And we hear quite often from them, they're looking, you know, when they're adding people, it's difficult to add the staffing. And it always boils down to the lack of housing, the lack of rentals. And sometimes it's, you know, even if there is a rental, it's very expensive to rent here because there's just no availability. So seeing an improvement in all those areas would be paramount, and, you know, dealing with some of these challenges that we have.
So that's just my drone video and my editing. They put something together because we have nothing on the mine until now. But you can see the scale of that mine, and they're planning. They've prospected a mine that's equal size across the river, so you can see the growth that's happening in Princeton right now. And again, the politicians are begging for more housing, and rents are very expensive. And this is an incredible opportunity for investors to find something that will cash flow and be first in. And you know, you always want to be first in on an area that's developing. You never want to be the last. I bought in Langley City at the Audley, and thinking that, and people think, you're Langley City, you're gonna get shot. Well, you know, it was a fantastic development because I saw the growth of infrastructure and opportunity, and I see this here right now too. You know, a few years from now, people you'll be laughing that you got into an opportunity like that at this price point. You can barely build it for this price, let alone sell it for this price.
And we truly believe that the city will continue to grow, and exactly what they're saying. And then it not only does it cash flow, just with the numbers, but the pure appreciation that we feel. Even the surrounding areas, obviously Kamloops is a lot larger all over in the Soyuz, but price per square foot on a sellable basis is at least $200 to $250 per square foot higher than what we're selling Princeton Point at. So appreciation we truly believe is there, and then that's where we're able to go ahead and do the 0% assignment fee as well for first in. And then the current rental right now, even in today's dollars with today's mortgage rates, it's still cash flowing positive, right? And we're hoping in a few years in 2027 that the rates are a little bit lower than they are today. And rent is either at par at what it is today that we're showing, or even slightly higher to increase that cash flow.
And you have, you said Century 21 that can do the rental?
Yeah.
You've got an Airbnb operator that can do as well?
Yeah, preferred Airbnb. And Century 21, our actual sales center or show suites in Century 21, the local Century 21 real estate office. And Judy, the managing broker there, has a rental license as well. So she'll be our go-to person to manage all of our long-term rentals. And then we have Braden that's on board with this project again. He was very shocked to see a cash flow positive project with Airbnb.
Yeah, so Braden, it goes by Mr. Airbnb on Instagram. He operates Airbnbs all over the world. He came from Calgary to have a look at the site. He reached out to us saying, this actually makes sense. It's the only project that makes sense at cash flows right now for me. I want to have a look at it. We were on site, and he's on board, and he wants to be the one of the operators of Airbnb for the building. He thinks it's a no-brainer.
When is the completion?
2027, spring. Yeah.
For the rentals, would that be like a rental pool, or is it like if you only have one brokerage handling all of the rentals, would that be a pooled rental, or is it individual? Because let's say you've got like, out of 150, maybe 100 of them are getting rentals, and your unit goes vacant, and how do you determine who gets it?
Yeah.
No vacancy.
I know. I'm assuming that there are vacancies. Let's say you 100 up, and 50 of them get filled, or 75 of them get filled. In the case where you're assuming that they're going to be all filled, maybe that's not the case.
Yeah, the question was if it's a rental pool model, and how do we, I guess, how do you decide who rents what? Yeah. No, it's not like that. It would be like an individual listing on, say, Airbnb or VRBO. We're running our numbers at 67% occupancy, just to be very conservative, and at low numbers in case the market isn't strong. But these numbers are these are low right now that we're projecting. But we have to be very conservative and run our numbers. You always run your numbers at a C or B, and then shoot for the A, right? But yeah, there's every listing will have its own every single unit would have its own listing, say if it's for short-term rental or if it's long-term. But there's so much demand in Princeton right now, and the growth model is so large that this is not going to put a dent into what they require.
All right. Any other questions?
Yes.
All right.
Looks really cool. And that's so awesome of what you're doing. Like the ones facing this direction, right now, if I saw right, it faces like a cow tire and trailer park, and then looked like a nice aerial view of the park on the other side of the trailer park. Is the trailer park like nice kind of place? Like, is it decent resident profile, or is it like slated for redevelopment, or what can you tell us about that stuff?
Good question. So you're talking about the western exposure of the site and what you're.
The river side is
north side.
for sure.
North side.
Yeah.
And I noticed a $10,000 price difference on like each suite, so I
Yep.
assume that's the view side, is the premium side.
Yeah.
But what's like, is it walkable at night with a little dog? And my other question before I forget is, of the 27 sold, what's your feeling on how many are Airbnbs so far?
I don't think so. Right now, I think majority, I think 27 to 27 are looking for more of the longer term, is what we're getting
With the
from.
local people, any owner occupiers?
Yeah, so the locals will be owner occupiers. The locals that are buying now are paying a lot in rent right now, so they're owner occupied, and all the investors that picked them up are right now, from our conversations, leaning more towards a longer term rental right now.
You can cash flow that way, it might
Yeah.
be wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to answer your question, so the other side of this building is the river, and that's north. West is the trailer park that we're talking about. So,
Detached, it looked like some detached as well.
yeah, they're mobile homes. And then on the south side is the parking area, and then there's they call it the highway, the main road that goes out of Princeton. So yeah, that trailer park is not developable at all. It's within the floodplain. They're not very happy that there's a 30-meter setback now. They can't do anything with that site. Cal Tire is there right next to.
Worry about that zoom, 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 zoom.
I've never even seen anybody there.
I've never
Yeah.
I drove to the site
Yeah.
too, and their lot was empty.
Yeah, it's not very active Cal Tire, but
And I went during the daytime, so not during the weekend.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility.
If you're going to invest, my tip would be get on the money side, on the quiet side, the view side.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the premium side right now is the riverside. It's
Say those are independent access, so it's kind of like townhouse style. You can walk right in and out of those ones on the first floor.
The first floor, the accessible units, yeah.
yeah, or drive up.
Same the case on the back. You can just walk out and go. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah, all the accessible units on the lower level,
nice.
yeah, will have straight walkouts.
Yeah, and then the building also has a rooftop patio on the a rooftop balcony on the patio on
Is
the.
it modular construction? This?
No, no, it's not modular. No, you couldn't. The design is, it's something
Nice
you would
floor
build.
plans. The 2-bed floor plan looks really good.
Yeah, Mandeep and I went through everything with a fine-tooth comb on the 2-bedroom studios as well. Like very little. There's no wasted space in halls. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Derek.
I know Nick. I don't know you as much, but I know if Nick's involved, it's gonna go good. Remember we went to Port Renfrew to look at that project that your family had out there?
Yep.
That's cool. I took the boat and you took the car.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We got a question online
Sure.
from YouTube just asking how many units are still available to purchase?
Let's do the math here. It'll be 27. Be under 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, under 100 now. Yeah, and it's been the softest launch. It's you guys. We have local. Our friends and family are in it too. Those haven't reported. It's not part of that number yet, but they're within the rescission period. So it's well under 100 now, probably under 90 now. I'd say. By the end of the month, that number will have jumped a lot.
Just one more. Do you have to hit a certain amount of sales before you're full go?
50%.
50%,
Yeah.
Pretty close.
yeah, so we're pretty close,
Yeah.
They're thinking construction March, April of next year, right?
Yeah.
It's usually just a Tesla charge for me, and then keep going.
We got 10. We have 10 common ones and a bunch underground as well. Yeah. Yeah, and you know we've already started demo, so this project's happening.
It is. That's actually a good point. That if you map out like here to Edmonton or here to Calgary or anywhere Kelowna, it's like Princeton's a stop, like for everybody charging too, right?
Yeah, it is the industry though. I would invite you just to do your research. You'll go wow when you find out what's going on there. It is quite something.
The commute from here to the mine is how far again?
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, they do a school bus shuttle from the ballpark there that you saw in the video, the park to the west, and that's where they do the pickup and assembly.
You use it yourself too. Like I think I would too if I owned one maybe. But yeah,
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thanks for your time, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you coming out. Absolutely. Thanks so much again. Appreciate it. Grab all that back, and there we go. Excellent. All right. So quickly, while they were talking, I had this. Derek's going to recognize this. Kelly's going to recognize this. I quickly had Jury add a slide for me here, and I think that this kind of will sum up exactly what Nick and Mandeep were talking about. Because obviously, our hot deal is Princeton Point, right? We got to talk about it. It's Princeton Point. But this is where I wanted to throw in, right? So obviously you'll recognize this. But when we're looking at investments, we used to learn at the RAIN group, where should you be looking to get started on an investment? If you're already looking in some of these areas up here, the opportunity might not be there. You want to get in when you start seeing that GDP growth, job growth, population growth, increased rental demand. We're kind of in this category right now with this market. And this is where the opportunity is going to be able to get in and watch that growth happen in that market as they continue to bring in more jobs. They're going to bring in that tech sector. Maybe they bring in the university. They continue to attract. That's going to continue to increase the population, which is going to put more strain on their already strained housing market. So that's where the opportunity. And you heard it from Mandeep that the mayor said that they have no plans on changing the short-term rentals at all at this point in time. And luckily, with where their population is, they fall under any of the provincial legislation. So this is a really good opportunity, both short-term and long-term. We've ran the numbers. We have the numbers ran for both as examples, and they both work. So obviously, Princeton Point is our hot deal of the month. I'm not going to go too much into detail because they did an amazing job for it. But one thing I did want to point out that I think didn't quite get shown is just the location. Again, for those who don't know where Princeton is, this is where it's at. We're about 3 hours outside. I actually did the drive. I happen to be in Hope because we got a listing out there. And suddenly I was like, well, I'm already an hour, almost a 2-hour drive into Hope. Why not just drive out to Princeton? Because we were heading out to Toronto. And so I quickly texted Mandeep. I said, get me the site. And he was right on it, got me the site, and I drove out there. And it wasn't too bad. It was about an hour and a half from Hope. It was a 3.5-hour drive back right after I was done. Literally like, yep, photo's done. But, it was really good because I got to see the town, and you can just see the traffic that was through there was nonstop. And I went on, I think, like a Thursday or something like that. So it was very busy the entire time. So we're going to wrap things up for you guys tonight. We are ending earlier tonight, so that lets you guys get out and get home when you're ready. So flip out your phones. We've got some QR codes for you. If you want to follow us on our social media, you can scan this link here. Of course, we're on Facebook, YouTube, everything like that. Okay. If you'd like to catch the replay, if you want to go back over some of the content that you saw here today, maybe something Owen said, they're like, oh, what did he say about insurance? How do I get a hold of him? What was that demographic they were talking about the mines? Go over, scan this QR code, subscribe to the Cameron Manning YouTube channel. That's where you'll see all of our past events and, of course, all the great content that we're bringing you out on a regular basis there as well. And, of course, we have our Investors Performance Group community on Facebook. So make sure you guys join this. This is a great way to stay up to date for when our next meetings are, as well as we can have discussions in there. If you've got deals, you're looking for funding, anything like that, you can post it in the community. And we have relaunched the Manning Up on Real Estate podcast. We just dropped an episode from Toronto last week where we were interviewing industry experts from across multiple regions. We had Calgary, we had Cambridge, we had Toronto. So the episode's on my channel as well as the Manning Up on Real Estate podcast, so you can check it out there. And we also launched a YouTube channel specifically for the podcast as well. So it's literally brand new as of like 3 or 4 days ago. So I got like a whopping 9 subscribers right now. So if you guys could help me out, grow that channel as well, I would really, really appreciate that. So one channel is going to have more investment related content. This is going to have more podcast related interviews. So, and our next month's meeting is going to be November 14th. So make sure you guys mark it on your calendars. This is going to be our last Investors Performance Group meeting of the year, because when we go into December, well, it's Christmas time. We're going to have a party instead. So that'll be our last one. Make sure you guys come out to that. And that is it for us tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you got a lot from it. And we will see you guys on the 14th. Thank you so much. And if you're watching online, again, thank you guys for joining us online. We really appreciate it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and we will hopefully see you guys here in the room one day. And if not, we'll catch you live next time.